Morocco, a geographically and climatically contrasting country, has 3,446 kilometers of coasts, open on two seas, the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. Reliefs occupy 15% of the national territory, with mainly the Rif and the Three Atlas, while the desert represents 65% of the kingdom's surface area, with 44,000 hectares of oasis. Finally, forests cover 12% of Morocco. All these spaces shelter one of the richest and the most diversified fauna and flora of the Mediterranean basin. On the human level, the coast welcomes 62% on the urban population and 80% on the industrial activity, while 53% of the tourism capacity is concentrated there. As for mountains, they shelter 35% of the rural population. The kingdom has 9 million hectares of agricultural lands, including 16% irrigated, and about 21 million hectares of country lands. There are many environmental issues generated by the human occupation and climate change that require an evaluation without any concession. Pressures resulting from demography, urbanization, economic development in general, combined with those relating to the climate and natural resources rarefaction, lead to strong deteriorations of the natural environment. Their cost to the state is about 13 billion dirhams per year, which represents about 3.5% of the GDP. If water resources depend on climate conditions, despite some years with exceptional rains, water needs to increase owing to the improvement of life conditions. Agricultural, industrial and tourism development. The coast is threatened not only by domestic and industrial wastewater, but also an excessive urban densification and tourism visits that have to be rationalized. The Moroccan mountains and forests undergo effects relating to the excessive exploitation, overgrazing, erosion and deforestation, while sand dunes and desertification phenomena increase and move to the desert towards the north. Soils themselves are subject to salinity and hydric erosion in addition to chemical contamination via the irrational usage of phytosanitary products. Pollutions linked to the human activity are in constant growth. Air pollution in big cities and industrial zones, water pollution due to non-treated domestic and industrial wastewater thrown in wadis or on the coast, or even via infiltration in soils and pollution due to solid wastes mainly of domestic origin. They represent about 18,000 tons each day, and less than 10% are recycled and 25% put into controlled dumps. Medical and industrial wastes also constitute non-negligible sanitary risks. Consequently, Moroccan biodiversity is threatened as over 7,000 flower species and 24,000 fauna, respectively, about 23%, and about 2.5% are endangered species. Morocco has set up a new policy that meets its concern about a rational management of its resources and its environment. By doing so, Morocco keeps up with the major international strategies and puts them into effect on its territory according to its special nature. On the legal plan, a number of laws and texts have been elaborated, such as the law relating to the environmental protection and development, the law about studies relating to environmental impacts, the law relating to struggle against atmospheric pollution, the law relating to waste management, and their elimination and law projects about the coast and soils protection. It has undertaken the elaboration and incentive and financial tools, as well as technologies supporting the struggle against pollutions, such as FODEP for Industrial Pollution Control Fund, the National Fund for Environmental and the Clean Development Mechanism. It has also created a National Observatory for Environment as well as regional ones. It has also elaborated programs relating to proximity environment and the improvement of citizens' life quality, such as the National Programme for Liquid Sanitation, which aims to generalize treatment stations and the reusing of the collected sewage waters, the National Programme for Domestic Waste and Assimilated Substances Management, aiming to improve domestic waste collecting in cities and urban centres and to set up controlled dumps, while closing the rehabilitating and existing wild dumps. It encourages the improvement of transportation conditions, mainly in urban areas, the generalization of a less pollutant fuel, and the promotion of the more cleanly common transportation, tramway. It sets vehicles' exhaust gas emissions controls and measures air pollution. The reorganization and extension of biodiversity protection structures works in connection with the 10 national parks network that of 164 biological and environmental interest sites, SIBE, throughout the national territory. A program for humid zones preservation is being implemented. It concerns 20 natural lakes and dams, water plans, wadis and rivers opening, lagoons and coastal marshes. So many areas constituting sanctuaries for the fauna, particularly migrating species. A plan of urban and suburban forest and recreational spaces protection is being launched. However, all this protection, realization and management work can be fruitful only via the elaboration of partnerships with the concerned institutions, mainly with Mohammed VI Foundation for the Protection of the Environment, which sets ambitious programs relating to the environment education and the mobilization of the concerned parties in favor of the environment and also with the local communities. The partnership conventions with the regions signed on April 14, 2004 in the presence of His Majesty the King for the implementation of projects integrated in water and environment fields constitute an important step in putting into effect the governmental strategy regarding this matter. Hence, the environmental culture has to be developed starting from awareness raising and public mobilization, and in priority that of the youth and the future generations. All operations are directed to the Moroccan young people. The program of environmental upgrading and rural schools aims to create the framework and the conditions of a better learning, while awareness raising inside the school has to contribute to the change of the daily behaviors vis-à-vis our environment. It is our turn, we adults, to be today up to tomorrow's stakes.